Actions and consequences. Each one of our cars has a little feature in it called the check engine light. And sometimes that light comes on. And sometimes that light comes on because we haven't screwed our gas cap on tight enough and air gets, I don't know how that all works, but I think like too much air gets into the gas tank and throws the pressure off and all kinds of stuff. So the check engine light comes on. And a good practice to do is to always stop and get out of your car and loosen and then retighten the gas cap, and maybe the check engine light will go off. That's usually what happens. But sometimes the check engine light doesn't go off. And sometimes then we'll go to our local auto parts store and have them take a look at it and tell us what's wrong. And sometimes we just ignore that thing and we don't do anything about it. And I know that there are lots of people who have ignored that check engine light and it turns from yellow to red, which means you should not be driving your car. You should definitely take it to a mechanic and have it checked out. And the point is that check engine light is there for a reason. That check engine light is there to tell us that something is wrong with our car. So there are consequences. Like when we ignore that thing, it doesn't make the problem go away. It doesn't fix it. It can make it worse, and often does lead to more significant problems. And it's the same in our lives. This past week we read through Daniel chapter 5, and we saw how Belshazzar was living his life as king, and he went and he took things that were godly things and he used them in ungodly ways. And there was handwriting on the wall and he didn't know what it meant. So Daniel was brought in to explain it to him. And if you remember, the first thing that Daniel did when he confronted Belshazzar was he talked about the way that God had confronted Nebuchadnezzar, how God had went to Nebuchadnezzar and revealed things to him in a dream and tried to humble him. And in Daniel 5, verses 22 and 23, it says this: "You are his, Nebuchadnezzar's successor, O Belshazzar, and you knew all this. You saw what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. You know what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. You know the way that God was merciful and kind and gentle with Nebuchadnezzar. And then when Nebuchadnezzar ultimately didn't listen, God humbled him. You knew all this, O Belshazzar, and yet you have not humbled yourself. For you have proudly defied the Lord of heaven and have had these cups from his temple brought before you. You and your nobles and your wives and concubines have been drinking wine from them while praising gods of silver, gold, bronze, iron, wood, and stone, gods that neither see nor hear nor know anything at all. But you have not honored the God who gives you breath of life and controls your destiny." So he knows exactly reality. His check engine light is on. His check your kingdom light is on. And God has come to him and he's like turned the check kingdom light on. He's written on the wall something to him that he needs to be paying attention. And we're going to find out that Belshazzar does not pull his car over. He does not pull his kingdom over. And God judges him. And there are consequences for that. There are probably areas in your life where God is guiding you in certain ways and you are ignoring them. And I know that there are probably areas in my life where I'm doing that as well. So I think a great thing to do would be to ask God what that area is, so you can be more obedient to him. You can be more loving and kind in the way that you interact with others. You can see what God's purposes and desires are for you. You can notice the check engine light in your life, and you can take steps to have a more healthy, God-focused and God-centered life. That's my hope and my prayer for you today. I love you, praying with you, praying for you. Tomorrow we'll talk about the way that God gives us mercy and lots of opportunities to repent. See you then.